guys, it's the Breakdown Rugby podcast. We are back, and today we have witnessed a colossal win from South Africa in Twickenham, humbling the World Cup favourites, the All Blacks. Manny Libbok at the helm, Sia Khaleesi looking back to his best. What do we think? Are the Springboks true World Cup contenders?
You can't get away from the final score. Let's be honest, you can't get away from it. It was a hiding for New Zealand, but there is always the but. This New Zealand team were not on it that game. They were not on it. They were nowhere near their best. Probably about 60% they were running at. And the South Africans are celebrating like they won the World Cup. Let's be honest. They need to get a composure and they need to start calming down because they've got a lot of tests ahead of them.
So would you not say, considering the scale of the match, the magnitude, I think that brings up to 2-2 over the last year. I think the celebrations are justified. That's a huge result, right? Think about it now. New Zealand have their next game against France in 2 weeks' time. Coming off of that loss, Scott Barrett's injured as well. Scott Barrett's got a red card. They are not going into that France game as favourites now, in my opinion. They have taken a massive, massive moral hit. But do you think they're still favourites for that France game?
Yeah, I think for me, New Zealand are going to beat France with the Scott Barretts. They're not. I think New Zealand are New Zealand. They're the All Blacks. And I think they've got so much depth. They can put in Retallick. They can put in Whitelock. These are players that have done it for years. And we talk about World Cup winning teams having a very high age, like 28, 29. And why not have another Whitelock and Retallick in there? For me, it doesn't make too much of a difference. Scott Barrett is a big loss, but they still have world-class players coming through. So I'm not worried for New Zealand.
Yeah, I think it's interesting you're talking about Scott Barrett because I feel like as much as we talk about New Zealand having the best pack in the world, today was bro, they were brought back down to earth. I think Steve Kitsoff for me is quickly becoming a world-class prop. I like being considered that. I think Malherbe's back to his best. Malcolm Marx now as well, finally getting nearly a full 80 minutes. Do you think going to the World Cup, he's a player that needs to be having a full 80? And would you still be giving Bongi and Benambi game time or now?
For me, Malcolm Marx starts. I don't see the whole idea. I think the whole bomb squad idea 2019. I think they need to start him. He's good enough to start, and he's good enough for 80 minutes. So why not start one of the best hookers in world rugby after Dan Sheehan? Why not?
Yeah. Another thing I wanted to ask you about, because I know obviously you're not the biggest fan of Manny Libbok, or as you like to call him, Manny Midbok. But we were on the TikTok live. I remember the first thing I saw was what does Kieran have to say about Libbok now? What does Kieran have to say about Libbok now? When I was doing my live, loads of people saying that. Are you now ready to give Manny Libbok, after a tough string of games, and now he's had his world-class performance, can you now give him his flowers, please? From Taddy and the people of South Africa, can you give him his flowers?
No. What I will say, no, it was a solid performance from Manny Libbok. He was class. He was very, very good. Yeah. One game doesn't define a player. What I will say is he will crumble under big pressure. Mark my words, clip this right now. He will crumble at the World Cup because he hasn't got a mature shoulder. He hasn't got a mature head on those shoulders. Facts.
But Kieran, I'm saying, against New Zealand in Twickenham, one of the most intimidating places to play. I mean, as an England fan, you would obviously know how much England's been struggling at Twickenham this year, right? Does that not significant that Manny Libbok goes there, doesn't miss a single kick, orchestrates that world-class performance? Are you not now willing to put him in the Intermac, the Mwanga, that sort of conversation, Johnny Sexton now? I think he's in that conversation after that one performance. He is.
I think that's really silly because I think we've seen a string of games from him which were below average performance, and now he has one game against the All Blacks where the All Blacks went on it, and now he's in the conversations with the Great Tens. For me, it doesn't make any sense. I think Manny Libbok, I've always said it if you watch the first take I ever made about Manny Libbok, I said he's not it right now. If he continues playing, he could be world class, and I still stick by that. I still think that he could. His potential, his ceiling is very high, but right now he's below average. But apart from the game today, he was good.
It's interesting you're talking about young players because Canan Moodie, right? I said it on the live as well. For me, he balled out today, and I think I'm looking at 13 today, he looked like a young Brian O'Driscoll. I genuinely got those vibes from him. Kieran, I'm not gonna lie to you.
That is a horror take.
He looked like a young Brown O'Driscoll. I'm talking about the way he was carrying, his speed, his aggression. He made 2 amazing intercepts and pocketed. You called Ricky Wani a top 3 centre in the world, in world rugby, right? I believe you called him a top three or top 4. Because I'm not sure where you have Faku in that conversation. In fact, okay, what's your top 3 centres? Where would Ricky Wani be in there?
Ringrose is number 1, Nakani 1, 2, and then I'm saying Ioane 3, Fifi 4.
Right, so you said Ioane's top three, right? Canan Moodie made Ioane look like his child. Like Canan Moodie
Yes,
for
mate, I am not denying he made him look like an idiot. What I
Mhm.
am saying is Ioane wasn't on it. I'm talking Will Jordan wasn't on it. I'm talking Ardi
Yeah,
Sarbea was quiet. All these players, like they were not on it today.
because they can't
And
handle
that is why you
pressure.
South Africa.
Because they
Oh
can't
my
handle
god.
Kieran.
Pressure
Kieran, no, they can't handle pressure.
pressure,
Like,
pressure, pressure or not. Pressure or not, right? They still won World Cups. Why are you slandering it? You just want to change it when it's on South Africa still.
there's not a narrative to change. But what I'm saying is post 2015, right? And I think what we've seen today, we need to stop talking about New Zealand like Dan Carter and Richie McCaw still plays for them. Like I'm saying, like post 2015, Kieran, their resume is pretty crap. They lost a World Cup semi-final to England. They drew a Lions tour. And yeah, they won a few rugby championships, but they lost a series to Ireland and they lost to France as well. So, like, how good is this New Zealand team really? Because I see so many fans on TikTok saying, "Oh yeah, like you're lucky we were just undercooked today, but we're more on our best form." I right now think if you look at the way things are structured, Ireland and South Africa would nullify New Zealand in a World Cup quarter. They would smoke New Zealand. They would, Kieran. You have to back that.
Mate, do you know what I don't understand, right? You've got the greatest ever rugby team, right, on this hand, and then you've got this All Blacks team. You're trying to compare this All Blacks team to try and get them up to that same level. For me, it's unrealistic. They're not at that level. They're not at that level. Granted, what you are seeing is a team that can probably compete for the next year's World Cup and have the greatest team and wipe the floor of everyone in 2027 because they're building something young and youthful. The All Blacks right now have gone through a period since 2015, but they haven't been it completely it. But
Yeah.
they're dangerous. They're going to win the next couple of World Cups, in my opinion.
So looking at the All Blacks now, like that loss, big loss against France, like what do you do to like get ready for that first game? Like how do you like prepare now if you're Ian Foster? What are you actually saying to the players? Because you're getting ready to win a World Cup and you get smoked by the Boks like that, a team that you smoked a couple of weeks ago. So how do you prepare?
If the All Blacks went and smoked everyone before the World Cup, they wouldn't be hungry to win it. I think they've got to have this loss against the South Africans to now get a bit of a kick up their ass and go into the France game thinking we need to demolish this team and put them away by half time. I think that's what you're going to see from the All Blacks. You're going to see a fiery response, and I think that is what they're needing. And I think South Africa, this will do them the world of awfulness because I think they're going to go into that. I think they're going to go into that game against Scotland thinking, "Oh, we just beat New Zealand. We can beat anyone." They're going to get arrogant like they always do, like every single one of the fans. So I think South Africa have got their homecomings coming this World Cup, and I hope they get humiliated. Really.
Are you willing to give them their respect now? There's the final thing we're going to talk about. Are you willing to give them their respect and say they came to a foreign country, neutral ground, beat the world champs? And Kieran, what was making me hopeful as a Springbok fan is we were missing Pollard, Lukhanyo Am, Jesse Creel, who you said was a like for like with Am, and Cheslin Colby. We're missing four of arguably our most formed players right now. Is that not significant that I think a Springbok C team beat the All Blacks? Is that not, and Damien Dialende as well? That's five significant players for the Boks. Can you now give the Boks their applause and say, you know what, these guys are world class. They're going to win the World Cup. Can you now do that for us?
I actually think the team you put out today was a lot more exciting and could probably score more opportunities than the team that you mentioned with Pollard and McCann because I think it slows down, it changes their style. The style that South Africa are playing now against the All Blacks tonight was the best style you're going to see South Africa play for a long time. Facts.
But is there a style that can win World Cups? We know Pollard.
Yes, of course they can win a World Cup. But do I think they're going to crack under pressure at this World Cup? 110%.
No, Kieran. Just a final point for me. This is the Springboks we're talking about, right? Pressure's like air to them. They love pressure, Kieran. They love pressure, the Springboks, and I'm pretty sure from what we've seen today, we've just seen a performance from the world champs. But yeah, guys, that's me and Kieran's post-game review. For all you guys watching and listening, make sure to keep on checking our other stuff on our TikTok, Instagram, and Twitter. From us to you guys, thank you very much for listening, and we'll see you soon. Bye-bye.